Good morning, brothers. How's everybody doing today?
Morning.
All right. All
Morning.
right. So, always a pleasure to have the opportunity to do this reflection with you guys this morning. Today is Sunday, March 7th. The title of the reflection today is When God Opens Your Womb. It's coming from Genesis 30, verse 22. Then God remembered Rachel, and God heeded her and opened her womb. So I'm sure as you all hear that title, or those of you that may have seen it earlier in the week that read the title, I'm sure you thought to yourself, well, now this is going to be interesting, right? So, and trust me, I wasn't trying to just be provocative with the title. I know that I'm asking you all to do something, right? I'm asking you to spend a certain degree of your analytical thought, and just for a few minutes here, ignore the biological fact that only women have what we traditionally think of as a womb, at least physically, right? And I make the assertion to you, brothers, today that each of us has a metaphorical womb. In fact, on a metaphorical level, we can all learn a lot from the gift that God has given to women, this gift of the ability to carry and nurture life within themselves and then to deliver that life into the world. Now, I have to admit, I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite right now. I always cringe whenever I hear male preachers talk about childbirth, right? Talk about pregnancy and childbirth, use it in their sermons. And I think the reason I cringe is that, in my opinion, most preachers don't unpack this the way that they need to. They don't do it responsibly, in my opinion. I don't think we can talk about God opening Rachel's womb without at least acknowledging the problematic nature of thousands of years and all throughout the Bible, men trying to have control over women's sexual and reproductive choices. Women have been judged and blamed for what appears to be the women's infertility. Now, scientifically, we know that's not always the case, right? And essentially what's happened is that women have oftentimes been relegated to second tier citizens, that status, right? So to then co-opt this metaphor narrative of pregnancy and childbirth from women for one's own purposes, and sometimes it can seem like the epitome of being tone deaf. So here I am using this metaphor of childbirth, of God opening the womb. And you really can't blame preachers too much for using this metaphor. If you are somebody who appreciates a good metaphor, this is a darn good one. We can all relate to the experience of having an idea, a dream, a vision, a calling that's growing and developing inside of us. Now, it might not be an actual child. And trust me, I'm not trying to compare the development of an idea to the birth of a child in terms of its importance, or really in any other way than that there are some components of the process of developing an idea, a work of art, a creative business endeavor, that are similar in characteristic to at least what we see as outside observers to being pregnant and giving birth. First, let's go back to Rachel in the text, right? If you read the chapter that's leading up to the little snippet that we took, you'll see that Rachel was distraught in not being able to have a child. This is part of the problematic nature of the Bible, all the way up to and through our current society, that women are objectified and only valued in relation to being someone's wife or someone's mother. And I hope that for us, we may be able to relate to finding ourselves anguished over something that we believe has been planted down inside of us, and we can't figure out how to quote unquote birth that thing. We can't figure out how to get that business going. We feel like there's a piece of art that's inside of us that we can't get from inside of us onto the canvas. There's a story inside of us that we want to tell, a story inside of us that we want to share with the world. And we can't just get all the pieces to come together. But hopefully, for us, we still see ourselves as valuable, even outside of that thing that we're endeavoring to create, but we can still relate to Rachel pleading with God in the story to allow her to be a vessel through which this great gift is introduced to the world. Another connection I see is that, at least in Bible stories, the birth of the first child is seen as an opening, if you will, of something that was closed. It's an unblocking of something that was blocked, an aligning of factors that were four not working in concert. And once whatever needs to happen to open the womb happens, then it is often transformed from barren to prolific. And I think that our lives are like that as well. It's like there's a formula that we're searching for, and we just can't seem to figure it out. We just can't get it right. And you can search for decades of your life. And I want to tell you all this, that there are even some things that we might be working on that are going to take generations for us to pull them together and for us to bring them to fruition. And your job in life, your whole job in life might be just to set up a future generation to be in position to bring into the world that thing that you started conceiving and nurturing within. But from what I've seen, both in my life and in the lives of others, uh, once you get it right, once you find that lock combination, once you get that formula right, your level of effectiveness at creating and bringing ideas to life rises to an entirely new level. You know, maybe if we were in church, we would say you come into your season, right? You all, anybody who's grown up in church, you've certainly heard that. If you've been around sports, you hear people talk about a guy's hitting his zone, right? I've been in the pandemic doing a lot of puzzles. So that reminds me of something, this concept reminds me of something I learned in psychology class, a concept called Gestalt. That's not a word we hear very much, but Gestalt is basically your mind's ability to see a picture before you have all of the information on that picture, to be able to see the puzzle completed before you have all the puzzle pieces in place. And I relate that season of our lives, that zone, to the moment when the Gestalt kicks in, when you can see the whole picture and how the puzzle comes together before you actually have the pieces lined up. And once you can see the picture, once you can see the path through the maze, once you've figured out the formula, it's just perfunctory to finish putting the puzzle pieces in place. Now, I want to change directions for a split second here. There's another piece of this whole idea of God opening our womb, or even us having a womb, that I want to spend a little bit of time on. Sometimes you discover something and it makes you just go, wait a minute. And you have to look more closely to confirm. I had a moment like that. And I had to look double, twice to see. And it actually was what I thought it was. Now I'm not a linguistics scholar, but I know a few of the words in some of the ancient languages. So I know a little bit of Hebrew, I know a little bit of Arabic, and there's a word in both languages. It was one of those moments for me. I said, wait, let me look into this and make sure I'm seeing what I'm seeing. And that word is, there are no vowels in a lot of these languages. So it's, in English, we would write RHM. It's rahem, rahem. And what that means is normally translated into compassion or mercy. But guess what else rahem means? It also means womb. So the place in the human body where life is initiated, where it grows, where it takes shape, where it's nurtured, is the same word for compassion and kindness. So when I discovered that, I found that was fascinating. It's fascinating to just let it steep in my consciousness for a little while. You know how you put a tea bag in some water and the tea just infuses into the water, but you can't be in a rush to try to make the tea infuse with water. Sometimes you just have to let that new thought just sit until it does its job. So what if this missing piece to the puzzle, the thing that in addition to the 10,000 hours, we know we got to put that in, right? So we've already done our 10,000 hours, but you're still looking for something, that spark, that catalyst is going to turn your potential into reality. What if that thing is kindness? Are we looking for God to open our sense of compassion, of deep understanding for humanity, of mercy? Could it be that the thing we've been looking for is all this time, the thing we've been looking for is something right within our grasp, a deep, abiding sense of compassion? And here's what comes to my mind as I let that steep. I've got a buddy from business school who is a decorated war veteran. He's a commander of troops in the heart of battle. And you know what he told me? He said that the guys who are most likely to crack under the pressure, to just lose it in a combat situation, are the guys who don't have anybody waiting back home for them. And again, this is me trying to pull insights out of a situation that I will never experience. But I have to believe that those soldiers who are at war, who have a wife and maybe kids waiting at home for them, they are filled with such an overwhelming sense of compassion for their families that their compassion drives their purpose and their purpose drives their action. And when your action is in alignment with your purpose, which is in alignment with your compassion, then there is a power driving you that is absolutely unstoppable. And maybe that's what we're supposed to pull out of this text. Maybe that's the message we're supposed to get for today. God opens our womb, our creative center, by opening our compassion. When we get rock solid certain about what and whom we are compassionate about, what our purpose is, we will create and produce and give birth to ideas unlike anything that the world has ever seen before. All right. Now, as is our custom, as we end our weekly reflection, I ask that you all would join me in this intention for our time together. And for the brothers who are new, we do this responsively. So I will say the intention, and then the response is 6 words. It is, and so it is our intention. And so it is our intention. The first one is always pretty standard. We leave this one the same. Let us be intentional that our Broga practice might be a living metaphor for our life practice. And so it is.
And so it is our intention.
Let us be intentional that in the spirit of ahimsa, just as we protect pregnant women, let us honor and protect and do no violence to that precious gift that we are carrying in our creative center. And so it is.
So it is
our intention.
Let us be intentional to open ourselves to our own sense of compassion and kindness, knowing that doing so will open our creative centers in ways that will change us forever, and maybe even more importantly, in ways that will change the world forever. And so it is.
And so it is
our intention.
Finally, brothers, let us be intentional that as we, for a short period of time, co-opt the metaphor of women giving birth and use that metaphor to meet our purposes, that we proactively honor the source of that metaphor. Let us be intentional about appreciating not just the women in our lives, but women historically, women we don't know but admire, and especially women who demand to be seen as whole human beings, and not just in the context of whose wives they are or whose mothers they are. Let us use our male privilege to be an ally to and a lead blocker for women being seen and respected in the fullness of their humanity. And so it is.
So it is
our intention.
intention.
We pray these and all things in the names of both our ancestors and our unborn grandchildren. Amen, Ashe, Namaste, and so it is.
So it is.
So it is.
Hey, thank you, John.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hey,